Hello, everybody. Welcome to this Wednesday's Reshape Your Menopause show. So excited to be here with all of you. And we are going to be talking about Qigong. Oh, Qigong for menopause. So amazing. I'm going to be announcing our guest in 1 minute there. I see we are on LinkedIn. We are on YouTube. Let me just double check that we are streaming into the Facebook group, the Moving and Reshaping Club for Peri and Post-Menopause, because that is where our guest, Clarissa, and I are going to be taking questions. If you have questions on the replay, that is where I'm going to be checking the comments today as well. So if you're not in the Facebook group, please go ahead to the Moving and Reshaping Club for Peri and Post-Menopause. There I am. Amazing. Okay, so I'm going to pin myself to the featured section. So if you are jumping on, and then of course I'm going to turn off my phone so that the children's call, they can phone their dad, right? All right, so welcome everybody. There we go. We are live. If you're watching me live, please say hi in the chat and let me know. Give a yes or no if you have ever done Qigong before. And welcome to the Reshape Your Menopause show, where we talk about all things. This is for peri and post-menopause. We are talking about how to get in shape, be ache-free, and age audaciously, because if you're going to age, you may as well age audaciously. And I'm so excited to have with us today. I am going to bring you on Clarissa, Dr. Clarissa Kristjansson. Clarissa is a doctor of neuroscience and a holistic health coach for menopause. So amazing to have you with us. And Clarissa is joining us in Sweden via Australia. Welcome.
Yay, Tracy. Thank you so much for inviting me to do this short masterclass on Qigong. And, you know, I'm asking you all out there, have you ever done Qigong? Or maybe you have not.
First time for me.
Yeah, and maybe you've never heard of it before. That's possible. So if you've never heard of it before, maybe you've heard of Tai Chi and you think, oh, that's the same thing.
Yes.
Well, maybe they're not, actually. So I'm here to tell you that they're not. They are similar. I'd say they're kissing cousins is how I would describe Qigong and Tai Chi. But Tai Chi is a martial art and Qigong is a part of Chinese medicine. So many of us are familiar. I'm sure if you're familiar with acupuncture and you've had that, you can put a tick in, you put a little thumbs up if you've ever had acupuncture or you know someone who has. Maybe you've heard of Chinese herbal medicine, this amazing part of Chinese medicine. Yeah. And they have a form of massage that's called Tui Na, which, you know, I'm going to tell you right here and now is not for the faint-hearted. Okay. No, but the fourth pillar of traditional Chinese medicine is Qigong. And people don't know that. No, they really don't know that. That's and something that I think
people that what we're talking about today is we're combining, right, the modern Western health aspects around peri and post-menopause with, very importantly, the more ancient traditions, because there is a lot to learn from them.
Okay. Exactly. So
and over to you.
Very, very true. That what we do is we use the ancient methods, but then we say, well, what's the benefit in a modern menopause context? Because that's pretty important, because Chinese medicine talks in a language that we don't understand. So unless you're in that space, it's not very helpful for me to talk about those things. But I can talk about how Qigong can help you in menopause. And that's what's really important, that you get to see what it's like. So shall I tell you what it does, what the benefits are?
Please.
So the great thing is that people have started doing some research. So we're not just talking, of course, we're talking 5,000 years of Qigong, because that's how long it's been around, and lots of documenting of using it for women's health. But the modern science has been telling us that Qigong is beneficial for lots of really important aspects of menopause. So super good for you if you are struggling with anxiety, if you have hot flashes.
And give us a 1 in the chat if any of you, if you're struggling with any of these things.
Yeah, that's a good one. Tell me in the chat if you have anxiety, hot flashes. What about not being able to sleep very well? And maybe you have emotions like anger or grief. I mean, I know that this bubbles up this rage, hey? So maybe if you have a rage, you can put a little hot fire here in the chat. We'd love to see, you know, meno rage, because those are some of the things that Qigong can help with us. And it can be very good also if we have stiff joints, pain, and also it's very beneficial for helping us build bone density. And you think, how does that work? Because it's not like we're lifting weights. And I know, Tracy, you're big on getting people to lift heavy. And that's an important part of our menopause, our strength training. But Qigong is also about standing quite strongly on your legs for quite significant periods of time. And you think, oh, but people often say to me, oh, after about half an hour, oh, my feet really felt that. And I feel it in my body, you know, I'm putting a lot of weight. And so it can be proven to be very good for bone density. So clearly lots of benefits that Qigong has. But the thing about Qigong is that we really have to practice it rather than talk about it, because the thing is, you feel it, and it's hard to intellectualize something that's essentially a moving practice. So I thought it would be good for us together to practice little snippets of women's based Qigong, and that's what I work with. I work with women-centric Qigong. There are obviously many forms. Some are very old, some are very new, some are good for men and women, but I only really specialize in women's forms. So they're designed for our bodies and the life transitions that we go through.
And can you tell us, how did you get into this?
I went to my very first Qigong class 34 years ago. And I started practicing, and then it kind of fell away, as life does when you have children and you have full-time job. And I fell over in perimenopause, and I hurt my arm quite badly. It didn't want to heal, and I ended up on an acupuncturist's couch. But he was also a Qigong teacher, and he encouraged me to come back into it. And although I've practiced a lot of yoga, I never had the same mind, body, breath connection in yoga as I had instantly in Qigong. So for me, it's my form of yoga, but it isn't like yoga, really. I'd say to anybody out there, it's a lot easier to learn Qigong than it is to do yoga. You don't have the same need. We obviously don't, you know, invert ourselves or do headstand, and none of those things. So it's very much done in simple standing postures, but even so, it's very powerful.
Fantastic. Looking forward to experiencing it. What would you like everyone to do?
Well, you know, I'd like us to get up. And I was thinking we can pop up, and I'm going to do what I often do as little warm-up exercises. So I'm going to move myself back so you can see and do some warming up exercises, which I think also are very good. I just moved my light a little here. There. So they're very good if we are also feeling a little bit on the tired side. So I just want us to stand about hip distance apart and just begin by shaking your hands out. Just loosening up here through the arms. And if it feels good, we can lift our arms a little higher. Go as far as feels good for you. So, you know, if you can only lift your arms to about here, and that's enough, you can do that. But of course, if you'd like to go for a little chi rave, this is wonderful. Keep your shoulders down though. And we can come to the sides, back down here. And if it feels good, we can go a little to the side here. And we can turn ourselves around and go the other side. And sometimes I really like to just bounce a little gently on your knees. You know, so you can bounce up and down, but only do that if you don't have, and keep sort of shaking, if you don't have an issue with your knees or that, or any pelvic floor issues. So only bounce up and down if it feels good for you. We're always working within our body boundaries. And this is a great thing to do, a bit of what I call stuck energy, and you want to let go. So that's one of my favorite little warm-up exercises that we can do. We can just bring it down and just stop bouncing and just slowly come to rest. And you might feel your energy shifted just a little bit. And if you're sitting at your desk, has it shifted? Let me ask you if it's shifted. Feel a little bit more energized, maybe.
Definitely. I'm just coming up to the chat. Let us know in the chat. Give a 2 in the chat if you're feeling a little more energized.
Yeah. Let us know if you suddenly feel that. So I love to do that sometimes first thing in the morning, or if you've been sitting at your desk for a while and you haven't got time to exercise, just shake it out a little bit. Let it go. So we're going to do my second little warm-up routine, which is called ringing the temple bell. So I'll show you what it looks like, and then you can do this version with me, or I'll show you a modified version if you can't stretch. But basically, we're going to strike our shoulder, and at the same time, I'm striking the opposite kidney. And just if you want to just lift your knee a little bit, like I'm doing, so we're not over twisting. Yeah, just like Tracy's doing beautifully there. This is called ringing the temple bell. But if that feels a bit hard, you can just tap here on the chest and just very loosely tap the back. And if you can only reach the middle of your back, then that's good. So you're actually striking some very vital Chinese acupressure points and that stimulate the body. This is one of my favorites, and it just gets you going.
So I think a lot of ones do this one. Sorry, you want a little bit of a twist through the rib cage?
Just a little twist to the rib cage. You can lift the knee a little bit so we're not putting too much strain on the, just what Tracy's naturally doing. Do that too here. So just that, and then you can very slowly just wind it down. So there you have two of my favorite, and we'll go to what I call water waves, little hands just coming to still. And those are my two favorite warm-up exercises that I do before I go into any form of Qigong bigger practice, just so we loosen up, wake up the body a little bit. And as I said, you can do those, you know, at any time of the day you like, just to shake the energy up, move it and shake it up. So what I wanted to do now is to show you two fundamental movements that you might like to do with me. One is absolutely fabulous. It's called showering Qi. And if you have a hot flash, this is the one for you, ladies. So let me know, do you have hot flashes? I bet a few people are going to put something here in the chat. But this is a wonderful exercise, and it's very good also for calming. I do have a contraindication. If you have low blood pressure, please sit on a chair to do this, because it naturally tends to descend the blood pressure. So fine for most of us, we can let our blood pressure come down usually in the menopause years a bit. But just if that's the opposite for you and you have low blood pressure, sit on a chair, because it can actually make you keel over. And I'm not there to, in person, I'd be pressing an acupressure point on your wrist, but in practice, I'm not here for you. So listen to your own body and do that. So let's do sharing chi. So
awesome.
I'll demonstrate what sharing chi looks like. We're usually about hip distance apart, hip width apart. And I want us to sink a little bit. So think as if you're going to sit on a high chair. So we're just sinking as if someone stuck a bar stool behind your butt. Yeah. So we're not sticking our bums out and we're not making our knees go over our feet because that's not good. But we're just as if I was just sitting on a high stool. And we bring our arms gently in front of the body, not too close, not too far away, but just below the navel. And we take a breath in and we lift the arms and we very slowly rise up, just to arm height. We turn the hands over and we bring the arms down. Breathing in, we rise up. We take the hands as far, quite often don't stretch up too far, keep your shoulders down, usually a little bit lower, and then we descend the energy down the midline of the body all the way down, and we let it go, and we gather up our little ball of energy again. So shall we try that and do that again together? So
yes,
thinking a little bit. Let the arms rise up and we sort of rise up a little bit, just to sort of arm height there, elbow height. Gather energy from the heavens, scoop energy from heaven and earth. We rise up and then we draw calm, cool, descending energy slowly down the midline of the body, all the way to just below the navel. Release it and gathering up again. We usually do this in sets of 3, so let's do it again, the second time. Breathing in, the arms float up. Turn them over, thumbs, palms facing up. Breathing out. Breathing in, gathering the chi, and then drawing all that cool, calming energy down through the midline of the body and release.
And you want us breathing through the nose?
Yes, breathing in and out through the nose if we can. And when you're breathing and doing this, one of the things I think is if you find you need to take an extra breath, then you take the extra breath. Work within your own breath pattern. So the third time, just breathing in through the nose. Turn the hands over, breathing out through the nose. Breathing in. And breathing out. So great practice when you feel like you need some calm and release for that.
Yes.
So that is sharing
chi. Very centering. I love it.
Very centering. So we're coming down a very vital part of the body in Chinese medicine. There's like a channel that runs down the front of the body, and we're moving from yang, which is quite high energy, masculine, high energy, down into yin energy, which is cool, dark, moist, descending energy, all the things we actually want to have in perimenopause. And I wanted to share with you just the one more exercise that is part of the series that I teach, the Radiant Lotus, and it's called the Phoenix Rises. And I love this one because it's an exercise about us setting up our boundaries. And as women, I think at this time of life, we need strong boundaries. We need to say no. And there's also there's like a second part to it where we actually release some of our trapped emotions. So go with the flow. It's nice and gentle. If you do feel any emotion come up, I'd love you to share with me in the chat what came up for you in that. But I'll talk you through it. I'll show you and then I'll talk you through it. So again, we've got our hand here in front and we rise like a phoenix with our wings. And we're just testing out the wings. It's like we're learning to fly. And I think in perimenopause, we're often, you know, starting a new journey. So a bit like the phoenix, we're testing out our wings. And we go now and see that we draw, like the little elbows draw in, and we think like we've got little phoenix heads. And then we push, we angle the hands up as much as you can. That gets better with time, I've learnt. Push out our boundaries. This is me. I stand in my power, but I let it go as well because I don't want to be rigid. So our hands let go. Then the second part is we bend down a little and we cross our arms and we scoop up energy from the earth. And we come here to just below our clavicle, this bone here, just underneath it, there's a little divot. And that's called the lung 2 points. And we massage those points. And we say that we hold a lot of grief, resentment, sort of strong emotions here. And by massaging that with our fingers, particularly our middle finger, we release some of that emotion. Because in Chinese medicine, we say the lungs are metal and the heart is fire. So the fire of the heart melts the hardness in the lungs. So we're softening there. We just massage. When we've done that for a bit, we can just place our hands over the point there. Take a breath in, and as we breathe out, we draw our hands away, crossed from the body, and we gain perspective on our emotions. And we let go to the earth and to forces higher than ourselves, that which we can't bear. And we paint a rainbow of light around the body. So that is the Phoenix Risers. So shall we can run that one again, yeah? Have another go.
See, I love that. And that pressure point was more tender than I was expecting it to be.
Yes, that's a great observation. And I love somebody else to actually share with me what you felt, because we don't realize that we can hold a lot of emotion. If that, when you're doing it, feels too much, then you can either just hold your hand to the point, or you can always move your hands to your heart and just stay there, because, you know, it can bring up some strong emotions because we don't realize how much trapped emotion we're holding in our bodies. Absolutely. And they can be tender. Yeah. So very nice practice. So we can do that one more time, and then we might do a nice little closing out movement to close out.
Beautiful. So, and let us know in the chat how that Phoenix rising felt. It was beautiful. Yeah. Let's do it again. Yeah,
let's do it one more time and just get a little sense, and then maybe you can watch this later and then practice it yourself at home. So again, we're a little relaxed, our arms are here, and we just breathe in like the bird and breathe out as we're learning to fly. We breathe in and we rise up. We're nice and soft and loose, and we're learning to fly. Test out your wings. What does it feel like to be in perimenopause and menopause? Starting a new space, a new time of our lives. And we rise up and we draw our elbows in, and our hands are like little phoenixes, like little phoenix heads. And then we push. As we breathe out, we're pushing, 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 saying, this is me. I stand in my power. This is my boundary. But I'm not rigid, because when we're rigid, we get fixed, and that's not great for us mentally or physically. So we just let it go. Then we soften, bending down, we draw up yin energy from Mother Earth, crossing our hands, and we draw that into our body. Because we massaged it last time, it's just good just to hold the point sometimes, not overstimulate it. Just hold your fingers, and that point, it's just a little divot, you'll feel it. Cover the point and warm it. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, draw your hands away from the body and look at your emotions. They're just emotions, and have perspective on them. They don't rule us. And we can release what's too heavy for us to carry, and then just raise up to the heavens what's left that's too much for us. And instead we paint a rainbow of light around the body and draw it in to the lower part of the body. So that's the Phoenix Risers. Beautiful practice for women, for women's emotions. And we might just close with a short little prayer, and then I'd take a few minutes for questioning. So this is called a Guanyin. And Guanyin, she's the goddess of the earth. She's one of the few goddesses in Chinese mythology. I don't have a lot of men. And this one. So this is when we rise up. We turn the hands over. We draw light from earth to heaven, and we gain a candle of light at the crown. And we draw that through the center line of the body, and we pause at the heart. Just take a moment here to give gratitude for all that you are and all that you have. And if there's anyone in your life right now who needs love and light sending to them, you can send that to them now. And know that they have within themselves all that they need to go through what they're going through. Then turn your hands to face the earth and make a diamond of light at your belly button. Turn your hands to face each other and draw them from the lower energy center to the heart center, and bow out in service to others. And then together we rise up, and then we send healing. Turn our hands over and turn healing to the Mother Earth, and paint some heart shapes on the earth. And then to seal in this practice, we place our left hand with our right hand on top. Take a breath in. Just breathe out. Let go. And bring together and bow to each other for practicing with each other here today. There we have a little closing on the practice. So that is a little snapshot of what Qigong is like, and that we can use it in different ways for hot flashes, to feel calmer, to meet some of the emotions that we carry inside ourselves, and the sense that we're connected all the time to heaven and earth. So we can always do that. So if we have any questions in the chat, I'm obviously here to take them.
Yes, type your questions in the chat. Can you explain to us a little bit about sort of what is going on? How is the whole thing working, and how does it kind of relate and pull into the more scientific Western modern concepts that you would know as a neuroscientist?
Yes. So obviously a lot of what we are doing there is we're using the movement. And obviously when we move like this through here, we're descending movement. It's quite calm. I think most of it's, from a Western perspective, related to the breath. Most of these practices are breath related. They are about calming. And because we focus on breathing in and out through the nose, we're often focused on the practice, so to speak, rather than being everywhere. We're doing the practice and focusing on the practice, so sort of it's calming. If we know anything about mindfulness, then we know that the minute we're present, we switch from the sympathetic nervous system, which is all buzzy, to the parasympathetic. So that's what's happening. We're calming our nervous system, and we're doing that through breath and movement. So there's not dissimilar to what we might see in a yoga practice as well. And obviously we practice lots. Obviously we do the movements repetitively in a session. We might do a series of movements and we do them in sets of 3 for mind, body, and soul. So you might find out that you're doing, we might do 3 or 4 in a sequence multiple times over.
Right. Yes. And in the kind of alignment and fascia reshaping work that we do in the Reshape method, it's also very much repetition, at least 3 times, because that's when you really start to get the value, particularly from the nervous system, right? Often when we're doing exercise, we're only doing it once, then that nervous system lights up and then we're like, okay, we're on to the next thing, right? So it never really gets like set into the body. I love that. But can you tell us a bit about how you work with people and how people can be in touch with you?
Yes. So I teach Qigong as one of the things I teach. I teach that as courses or individually. So if people come to me, for example, individually, and you have a particular menopausal issue, then I would create a routine for you. So that's specific to your needs. And in classes, I tend to teach more of full sets of sequences. So you learn a sequence of movements that would be good for lots of people for lots of different aspects. But it can also be that I teach multiple forms of Qigong, and I might take one piece from here and one piece from there and somewhere else and say, you can't sleep, do these 3 or 4 practices at least twice a day, and you will see a difference. So I have a lot of people who can't sleep, who feel very anxious, sometimes have a gut issue that can be supported by Qigong movements.
So interesting. How does that work?
How does that work? Well, I think then again, you're working from a Chinese medicine perspective, because in Qigong, every single movement works on one of the Chinese medicine organ systems, and that's how it's been set up to work.
Yes. And do you have classes at set times? Do you have live classes, pre-recorded classes?
I have live classes. I'll be starting a new live course very soon. It's a 7-week class. So if people are interested, they can come to my website, which is
what is your website?
ClarissaKristjansson.com.
Amazing. And we'll drop that in the chat after. If there are any links you'd like to drop in the chat, please go ahead.
Exactly. So you can absolutely come there, and you can see which class I have coming up. So I'll put my website in there, and that would be a 7-week full program. And that definitely is something that we would do in a way that you would learn a series of movements, and we would also teach some sound healing and some acupressure massage techniques, which are all part of Qigong as well, that can be hugely beneficial for women and women going through transitions exactly like menopause.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for coming to join us today. If there are lots of people are going to be watching on the replay. So if you have any questions, please just put #replay. And Clarissa, will you be able to hop in that chat in the Facebook group, the Moving and Reshaping Club Facebook group, and answer questions?
I certainly will. So do ask me any questions you want to know about Qigong, anything. And I would suggest watch the video a few times, have a go, practice, do it at home, see what it feels like. That's the most important thing, is what it feels like.
I noticed with myself, there was definitely an energy shift, for sure. Yeah. So interesting. Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming to share this with us today. Menopause is a gift. They don't call it the change for nothing. You can fight against it, or you can flow with it. And that is what we're trying to do in the Reshape method. And I can see that Qigong is something that really is very synchronistic. It's all about, you've got to go with it and open up space for this new physical, mental, and spiritual reality to be happening.
Indeed, indeed. That is exactly what it does, Tracy. It creates shifts in our energy, which then allow us to make the changes we wish to have in our lives.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming to share this with us today. So appreciated. Have a wonderful rest of the week.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.